Yes, people, and welcome back to another video on the Bridge YouTube channel where we bring you all things Chelsea. I'm your host with the most, the Bridge 258, here today to do a nice little, obviously, sit down that I've been doing all throughout this week with different, obviously, rivals discussing their teams, what their hopes are, what their feelings are, can they get somewhere or can they not get somewhere, of course. But I would usually start my bringing in my co-host on straight away, but there has been a little bit of breaking news just before I started the stream, which is why I've had to change the title actually. As many of you guys can actually see, big up to everyone that's here. Uh, but like this is actually big breaking news actually, by the way. So like I can't even listen, it's actually kind of crazy what I'm reading right now. It's not again, is it crazy? Not really. Is it not crazy? Meh. But like it is kind of a bit of big news before I bring on my co-host. Big alaikum salam about that. Dimas, hope you're doing well. And that is, of course, this is a bit of a breaking news right now that's come out. And that is that Chelsea's main shareholders, let me actually do this, I like this better. Chelsea's main shareholders are exploring their ownership of the English Premier League Football Club after little more than 2 years in charge amid a deterioration in relation. People familiar with the matter have said, and that's from At Business, very reliable source when it comes to business news and everything like that. And just quickly, big up to this guy, Chelsea Fan Accountability. You actually got the whole article up here. He basically says that the relationship between Clearlake and co-founder Begdad Iqbali and Bowley, who together led a hard-fought takeover of Chelsea in 2022, have deteriorated in recent months, according to people, as a period of heavy spending at the club has failed to bring success on the field. Different opinions on Chelsea's recruitment policy, the team's underperformance, and the failure to make progress on building a new stadium have all contributed to the rift, the people said, asking not to be identified, discussing the confidential information. Clearlake owns more than 60% of Chelsea, with Bowley holding the rest alongside US businessman Mark Walter and Swiss billionaire Hans-Borg Weiss. Bloomberg News reports last year that Bowley was dialed back his involvement at Chelsea after a difficult first season in charge, right? So that's what's basically coming up. And basically what that essentially means for everyone is that two things are happening here. Either A, Clearlake is about to buy out Bowley shares of the business, because remember, they can't actually take any dividends until 2032, right? So again, that's the case in regards to that, right? So they can't take any dividends at 2032, right? But they can buy each other's shares. So one of them's gonna buy the share, the other one's gonna buy the other share. So again, we don't know how. So the way the share works is that obviously Chelsea is valued at a certain amount of money currently, right? And then Clearlake would have to buy they'll have to buy the share divided by the percentage of how much basically Bowley owns, which I believe is around about 10% or 15%. Whatever the club is worth, basically 10% of that is going to be how much those shares are worth, and then Clearlake have to buy that amount outright, chat. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If I want to repeat again, Chelsea's worth 4.25 billion, right? So basically, to buy out, let's say if Bowley shares are like 10%, that would be 425 million pounds that they would have to basically pay to buy out Bowley out of his share position at Chelsea Football Club, and that was, and vice versa would happen with Bowley if he wanted to buy the shares from Clearlake, because Clearlake owns 60%. So that would probably be 4.25 divided by 2 is 1. What is it, man? It's 2.152, something like that. It'll be something like that, right? 2.125 plus an extra 10% of that, which would probably be 0.42 something, which would essentially it would be around about 3 billion to buy off them, man. Right? It'll be 3 billion to buy off Clearlake if Burnley wants to buy the club outright, essentially. And we'd have to probably bring in more investors. No, they cannot do that. It's only in between actual investors that own the club, Jonathan, essentially. Bro, nobody's gonna want to take over the debt. Oh, Jake Crow, it's between themselves. That's why. But listen, hopefully you guys understand it. If you need any more questions, do ask me. But listen, I'm being a bad co-host here, but let me bring on my fellow co-host here. Obviously, big up to my boy Igal. Hope you do well. I can't hear actually for 1 second because I have to put my headphones on. Give me one minute.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Everything's blessed. I'm just sitting back,
bro.
enjoying the Chelsea shit show, loving it.
I wouldn't necessarily say shit show is the right word to use, but because
whenever you have two owners fighting over a club,
yeah,
it can lead to disruption on the pitch.
100%. That one I do agree, but I think the issue is one owns 10%, the other owns 60%. So it's like I don't know how much power.
Todd owns 10%.
Yeah, Bowley owns I think 10 to 50%, if I'm not mistaken. So
Todd Bowley seems like the kind of guy who's hurt by the whole fact that his reputation as an owner has taken a massive hit since he's joined Chelsea. Because when with the LA Dodgers and everything else that he does over in America, he has pretty good reputation.
Oh yeah, 100%, bro, 100%. And listen, at the end of the day, obviously we know his transfer window, where he was literally the only guy that was doing the transfers. A lot of those have been rectified essentially by the club. Really, like again, I said before, Kukurea, Wesley Fofana, and now Chukwemeka, and Chukwemeka's barely survives. Is the only one remaining. So yeah. And I think Vic, basically, my mod is very, 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 very reliable. Always got the pulse on Chelsea. I think he says it best. Burnley wants to buy them out. Burnley will find investors to pay off Clearlake because it was his idea to buy the club, not Clearlake. Wow, interesting. At the end of the day, Vic, I think obviously this big breaking news today is probably going to mean a bunch of stuff, basically, in my personal opinion. The fact this is happening now probably means one of two things: either Chelsea, is either Burnley is planning to buy the club outright with some new investors that are gonna see his vision of the club, or it's gonna be Clearlake that are gonna be able to buy them outright. So again, we'll see what happens, of course, at the end of the day. But man, this is why we need to give full ownership to Todd B and not Igbali. Igbali needs to leave. Fair enough. I've seen your WhatsApp, bro. I'll answer it as soon as possible, my brother. Igbali needs to leave. Yeah, Todd B doesn't even have the owners. Doesn't even have the owner. They keep going back behind his back. They need to give him full ownership. I forget clearly, like honest, the link up, the random for big up to IVGG, bro. But listen, enough Chelsea for now. We'll definitely get back to Chelsea, once we talk about a bit about Arsenal, of course. But Igal, bro, talk to me about Arsenal, bro. What are your thoughts and feelings of the club so far, my brother?
You know what it is? It's you got to win. That's pretty much it. We are in a situation where anything less than silverware this season is considered a failure. And you know what? That's what it should be. That's the levels you should be at. You should be looking to compete to win major honors every year. If we don't leave this season with at least some sort of silverware, be it the league, the Champions League, or even the domestic cups, the whole season would be considered a failure. Minimum, we need to challenge for this league and try to go to the end, and aim is to win it. Champions League, go as far as possible. Obviously, we've never won the Champions League before, so and with the new format, we don't know what changes there would be and how much more difficult it might be to be the winners this year. But the main thing is get as far as possible in the Champions League, get as far as possible in the league and try to win it. And in the cup competitions, hopefully with a little bit more squad depth, we can see much better performances in those competitions. Overall, I expect this Arsenal team to be as good as last year or even better. And the only difference being, I hope that we can finally get over that hoodoo of coming in second, not winning the league in 20 years. We need to break that duck. And hopefully when we finally win it, that'll be the first time we won the league at Emirates, man. We've never won the league.
I know you've not won the league. Obviously, the last time was at Highbury, if I'm not mistaken, back in 04.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like ever since we moved to the Emirates, we've come close so many times. The Leicester season, we were very close. We were up. We've been up at Christmas for bare times too. It's just closing out the season, not having enough done, transfer windows not being as ambitious. And you know what? Even this transfer window, I'm not going to sit here and say we had the most ambitious transfer window. We didn't. It seemed like the club wanted players that were slightly ambitious, like Nico Williams. We were willing to pay the money. We couldn't convince the player to join. We wanted Bruno Guimaraes. That was not going to happen for a cheap deal. Newcastle wanted 100 million or nothing more. And I don't think Arsenal could afford to drop 100 million once again before the deadline. And then once the deadline was done, there is no way that you're going to see Arsenal drop 100 million before the new calendar year. You know what I mean? Because we just spent 105 million on Declan Rice last year. And overall, long story short, I hope that the players that we have in this team, the William Salibas, the Bukayo Sakas, the Declan Rices, the Odegaards, those guys can make the gradual improvements from the year before, as they're relatively still in and around, not reached their prime yet. So you'd expect them to make a little bit of a leap. And for players like Partey, Partey, and the likes of what's his name, Martinelli, who didn't really play that much or that well last year, if they can make an improvement, That before we even talk about Man City or anybody else, that should be enough to just get us over the line. But then everyone has these questions about Arteta. It's like, it's always, do you want to sack Arteta? Do you want to get rid of Arteta? I don't know about you, but I'm not the kind of person that wants to rock the boat when you have a team this good on the cusp of greatness. Like, I don't think Arteta's the problem. I think Arteta is one of the main reasons why we're in this situation and why we've gotten to this level. I don't think you don't.
So before
I
get to the Arteta discussion, because I think that's a good discussion to have, of course, I actually wanted to ask you about a bit more about the transfer situation, because like I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans, they're very I would say mediocre. That is, I think, is the best word to use in terms of like the transfer that you guys have had. But like, I think for me, it's just like every season I've watched you guys, particularly under Arteta, even before you could even make the argument under Wenger days. You've always felt like, oh, if you got one more signing, if you got, it's almost been the nearly that signing, season. Do you not think that that's a bit of a worry? Because like I think with Edu, I don't, again, from what I've seen from him, when it comes to getting big deals done, I feel like barring Rice, all the other deals that he's made, I would say they're fairly easy to make. It's the same. I have the same criticism of my own directors, for example, where they can make deals under 40 to 50 million pounds happen, but once it's like a big deal, 60, 70, 80 million pounds, they're never able to make that deal done.
1 second. When it comes, sorry, I'm literally bleeding. I don't know how this happened. I just started bleeding out of nowhere.
Wow, bro.
I played football the other day and I fell down and now I'm still bleeding. My bad. But when it comes to friggin' Edu and Arteta, their transfers, bro, I can't really fault them too much because they don't want to get taken for a ride anymore. We've been trying to change the way we do business, in the sense that if we want a player and we deem them that value, we will pay that value. If we don't deem the player more, like for example, Pedro Neto, we wanted Pedro Neto. We were not going to pay 60 million or 60 million euros or 50 plus for Pedro Neto. One, due to his injury record. Two, due to mainly just due to his injury record, and also his production has not reached the levels of which warrants that type of price tag, in my opinion. So, for example, in this moment in time, we're also experiencing issues where players don't want to come and sit on the bench. We were interested in Rafinha. Reports came out today that he didn't want to come and sit on the bench. We were interested in Onana from Everton. Reports came out that he didn't want to sit on the bench either. So it's like some of these players who are coming in, they're not guaranteed starting minutes. So do they really want to join if they're not guaranteed starting minutes? It's a lot easier if you're going to join a Manchester United or a Chelsea right now, where you don't have the issue of 4 or 5 guys who are going to take your spot. You're going to come in and most likely be a starter if you're a big money move. Where for Arsenal right now, you're not going to come and take Bukayo Saka's spot on the right wing. If you come in, you're going to have to fight for your place in the left. If you come in as a striker, maybe you can force your way into that side. But the midfield is packed. The defense is packed. It's difficult to get top players with the quality that it can improve our team with the mindset that they're willing to fight for their place. I don't know how Man City does it, but Man City have found a way to get certain players. But even then, certain players wanted to leave immediately. Look at the situation with Julian Alvarez. He came in for a short period, and he wants to leave.
I feel like when your club is consistently winning, it gives you a reason to stay on the bench. Does that make sense? Like, because listen, I know I might not get that many minutes, but you know what I'm gonna get at the end of the day? A chance to win a trophy, because I know these guys are gonna win trophies, right? That's what allows you to build a bench like Man City does, essentially. Otherwise, the only way you can really build it is if you're paying these guys a level of wages that's appealing to them to stay at the club. Does that make sense, Sigal? Like, and I think with you guys, I feel like to an extent, if you want, because you've not won trophies yet, the latter is probably going to be what you're going to have to do. And I don't think maybe.
But we don't spend money like you or Man City either.
No, I'm talking about wages. I'm not even talking about like spending to buy.
No, we do spend good wages, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, that's probably what's gonna attract those guys to come in. I don't even think it's about the transfer fee, because I feel like, again, maybe you guys can get something done in terms of the transfers. But what you would need to probably do is probably get the wages for them to a level to allow them to think, you know what, I'm gonna be staying on the bench, but at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be doing something, right? You know what I mean? I'm gonna be winning something. That's what's gonna at least at them. You know what I mean? Money solves a lot of issues, as I always say. You know what I mean? He makes the world go round, as they say.
I'm looking back at last season and I'm saying to myself, what improvements did we need to make from last season, bro? We needed a massive improvement in the left back position. A lot of people are saying you didn't need to improve your defense. We did. Zinchenko was a liability. We did that. I'm happy with that business. Mikel Moreno coming in, you know what? I'm very happy with him coming in. We needed a left 8. We needed somebody who can not only help us win the ball high up the pitch, but can also what do you call it, contribute with some goals. He is one of the best in aerial duels and physical duels, so our midfield is still going to be strong. We're never going to get bullied with him on the pitch also. Plus, it gives us a little bit of a different type of profile than what we have when we have Declan Rice playing there or Partey playing there. He's a little bit more of a natural box-to-box midfielder than a DM, because right now we have a bunch of guys that are very similar in not in their profile but in the position that they play. Jorginho's more known for playing as a deep line playmaker. Partey's more of a 6 than an 8. Declan Rice can play both, but he's predominantly known as a 6, where Mikel Moreno is going to come in and he's going to bring some balance to that left-hand side, somebody who's naturally left-footed that can play as that 8. And then, you want to know something, Sterling? The funny thing is, you guys are paying us 10 million to improve our team. I know.
If you think, bro, Egal, if you think he's improving the team, more power to you, brother.
Raheem Sterling is an improvement on Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah, and you cannot deny that.
He's an improvement on them. I agree with you to that level, but I think you know what I'm looking
worst
at.
Case scenario, worst case scenario, he's a backup for Saka. Best case scenario, he's pushing for a starting position. And that's on the left wing.
The thing for me is just like, you know, if I'm an Arsenal fan right now, yeah, I'm looking at, okay, is this guy gonna improve my start 11? Maybe that's what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just me, but like I'm thinking about Sterling more so. How does he improve my start 11? And to an extent, I think he could be a starter.
Could he start over Trossard and Martinelli?
Potentially. I think he could start over Trossard and Martinelli, if I'm being a little bit honest, right? In the sense that I think Trossard's a better super sub, which I've told you before, bro. And I think Martinelli, bro, again, I don't know where it is, but like I just don't see, unless you're gonna play him as a left forward, which I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think he works right now on that team. But I just think of Sterling.
Martinelli had one bad year. I don't necessarily think he's a bad player. Like right now, look at who started well this season. Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz last season couldn't hit a barn door. This guy's already scored 3 goals.
But the thing for me is that, you know, I've always appreciated the fact that about not Martinelli. So the thing I've always appreciated about, I lost the point. Sorry, what was it? Yes, Martinelli. Sorry. The thing about Martinelli, though, however, is that I think for me, he's not playing where he was the season before, my brother. That's the thing. He's not playing where he was the season before. So it's like he's playing a bit more deeper. He's playing a bit more on the wing. He's not getting overlapped like he used to, right? And he's not playing the way he used to, essentially, right? So I don't see him adapting to that, if that makes sense. He's not adapting to it. You know, one of the things that I always talk about, if you're a top player, yes, you may not be able to play in your same position, but if you have different duties, the top players are able to adjust their game to be able to do it. And I feel like with him, he's not adjusted his game enough to do that job. Does that make sense, Igo?
I think it's more the system. We were trying to get the best out of Martinelli, but we were not playing to his strengths. The year prior to that, we were playing to his strengths, giving him the ball, running at defenders, one-on-one, slotting it away, simple choices, didn't have to make too many decisions. Because I don't think Martinelli, it's not that he's a bad player, it's just that his decision-making can let him down at times. You know, the split decision when you need to make a quick decision, certain players can do it.
I know what you mean. Yes,
yeah, certain players can make that decision quickly. Certain players, they have the ability to slot it away. They have the finishing ability. It's just sometimes they overthink things. And Martinelli at times, like the Liverpool game, threw on goal. All he needs to do is play the ball to what do you call it? Play the ball in the right slot. He's doing that. But then similar situation, you have it against Liverpool away. You have a situation where all he needs to do is play one simple pass. He overhits the pass. or he has a situation where it's 3-on-1. I think it's the second game or first game of the season, and he overhits it across the box to Bukayo Saka. Sometimes his passing lets him down. He doesn't look up properly. But my main issue last season was Martinelli. The whole way we played on that left hand side was altered by the fact that Jesus was no longer the number 9 and Havertz was the number 9. Havertz was really Havertz fit into the system. Martinelli was basically we were constantly trying to fit him back into the system. It wasn't that Martinelli didn't fit. His area, the pitch where he was occupying, was now being occupied by Kai Havertz. So he needed to find a new way to fit in. We tried to find a way for him to fit in, but eventually it became a situation where it was to the detriment of the team. So Leandro Trossard had to take over, and when Leandro Trossard took over, you've seen that Leandro Trossard just fit into anything. Like he's like water. He just acclimatizes.
The thing is about yeah, but he's able to acclimatize. But the thing is, shouldn't you be demanding the same for Martinelli? Because if you rate him that highly, any player that I rate highly, I should have the belief that he can adjust to whatever he's being.
There's no real major excuses you can make for a Martinelli on why he wasn't performing last season, because in the same environment, Leandro Trossard was performing. But one thing we can say is, hopefully, with a more balanced left-hand side, where you don't have a Zinchenko or a Kavior in that side, and you now have somebody like Calafiori who can hold it down defensively, that will now give the midfielders more ability to link up with him. And sometimes the lack of link-up play or how isolated you are on the pitch can negatively affect you. And last year, when you look at every single time, when you look at the team sheet, Martinelli's all the way over there by himself, and nobody's next to him. You know the passing lines? When you see the passing lines? Bukayo Saka, Odegaard, Rice, all these guys have all the lines going to them. Martinelli has like one. And that one line is probably coming from Zinchenko passing to him, or the goalkeeper directly kicking it to him once in a while. But he wasn't really getting involved in the game. And we need to get him involved more. And the best way to get him involved more is to have a more balanced attack. Our attack was so right-footed, right-handed.
I was going to ask you a question though. Is that more so on the players not believing in him, or is it just more so the thing of that Saka is there, let's just pass to Saka?
Bro, there was games where we believed in him. Late in the season, Christmas time, Brighton at home. I don't know if you watched the game. Arsenal had 4 or 5 clear-cut chances, all fell to him. Cut back from Odegaard, cut back from Martinelli, cut back to Martinelli. And it was like he just couldn't finish his dinner. Leandro Trossard comes on, he buries the game, makes it 2-1. Makes it 2-0, I mean. So it's like moments like that is when it's crunch time, title race time, Martinelli's not firing, he's going to have to be player that comes off the bench. And he did do well when he was coming off the bench, when there's tired legs, goes and takes the scoreline from 4-1 to like 6-0. You've seen those where guy comes off the bench, adds 2 goals at the end of the game, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to do well. My main thing is, I'm not going to now say Martinelli's a bad player. I'm not going to sit here and say what Keyshawn's saying. He had one good season. He is a good player. He still has that quality. It's just, can he sustain it throughout a season, especially when he's getting challenged and he's not playing every single game? When he's not starting, can he contribute in other ways? Because now, when you're not being asked to start week in, week out, you need to find other ways to contribute.
Exactly. That I agree with.
That is where players are truly tested. And he did that last year at times. Even though he only scored 6 goals, the goals that he scored were very important. Man City at home, he scored the winner. You know what I mean? Certain games, like Aston Villa, we lost all the games against Aston Villa. But some of the other games where it was close, you'd see him come on and make a difference. So right now, I'm more, maybe you could say I'm hopeful, but I'm hopeful that with Mikel Moreno, we'll see more balance. And with more balance, hopefully you'll see a better performances from that hand side. But yeah, no excuses this season. It's literally make or break for him, in my opinion.
That I agree. And just quickly, guys, as we are in 25 minutes in, guys, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and make sure to obviously subscribe to Igal's channel. It's in the title already, so you just only have to do
Bro, I don't know if you know, but Chelsea fans don't like me.
Listen, that's why you're here. You know what I mean? One of the things I always like to do is I always like to bring on people. Listen, some people may not agree with at the end of the day, but listen, everyone has their free to their own opinion. I'm not here to cook man them like that. So that's why I'm here. This is what this week in general, I've been letting people have their thoughts, speak them out, and at least give their opinions. So that's why I wanted to hear from you guys at the end of the day. So for me, it's my channel. That's why I'm here to speak with you. But obviously make sure to subscribe to you guys. I was saying before, I am literally 5 away from 55 subscribers. So make sure to give me 5 subscribers, please. 64 of you here in the building, and make sure to continue to do so. So next bit I want to talk about actually is obviously I know we've talked about the transfers, a bit about Martinelli. I wanted to talk about more so the striker situation, because one thing I will say, maybe you might not hear that a lot from a lot of Chelsea fans, is that I do think Havertz has improved. Arsenal. I will give them that credit. He has scored quite a bit of goals for you at the end of the day, but I think for me, with him, the question I always bring up is consistency, right? One of the things I talk on a Chelsea fan base, you will hear about, talk about, for example, is Nicholas Jackson. You know what I mean? But Jackson's not consistent enough. He's not scoring a lot of goals. He misses a lot of chances, right? Havertz, you could probably, you can probably put him into the same ilk, in terms of, yes, he can score for you. He's got a bit more of a bigger goal tally, but he is inconsistent as well at times. So I think the question for me becomes, do you think you should have brought in another striker, maybe possibly to have added to your talent, maybe to your roster, to provide a different option compared to what Havertz gives you? Obviously, with Gabriel Jesus, is a bit more injury prone. Like maybe just another guy, doesn't necessarily have to be prolific in my personal opinion, but it's like another option. That's what I always say, like something else.
Bro, I always wanted more, but I never thought it was possible, because I thought if we were going to bring in somebody who's going to be on big wages, we would have had to move on one of the guys on big wages, like a Gabriel Jesus. I've always said on a lot of streams, the only way I thought we were going to get somebody massive in is if Partey or Jesus left. So if Partey was to leave, that's where I think we would have gone for Bruno Guimaraes. If Jesus was to leave, that's where I think we would have gone for a Gyökeres. But the only reason why we're really going for strikers is if it's the right striker. We're not going for anybody. Like Victor Osimhen's available. I don't think we spent too much time looking at him. If Isak was available right now, best believe we would be at the front of the line. I know Chelsea would want to be also, but that
I don't know, hot take. What? I don't know actually, because of the player that we already have at the club is very similar to him. In Jackson and him are very similar in the way they play.
I think Isak's a much better player.
No, but that's the thing though. I think Isak, yes, is a better player, but I think the issue that the club would have is that you would then have 2 people that are of similar profiles. So let's say if I bring on Isak,
check the second last message saying the club's broke. Is that broke or is that smart? We literally took Raya for £5 million loan, and then finished off the deal by paying an extra 22 to get the deal done. And the deal was sorted like that. We now have our number 1 keeper, and we had him for a year where we didn't have to put him on the books. To me, you're gonna say that's being broke. In other hands, you could just say, you know what, in football, with this financial fair play situation and profit and sustainabilities, that's the club being smart.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day with the Riot deal, in hindsight, it looks a lot better the way you did it. So, and plus, I think I'm not mistaken,
we just spent 105 million on Declan Rice.
I was about to literally say that, yeah. You literally brought 105 million for Rice, and I know you guys were in a little bit of PSR trouble, so you had to find a way to get around it, if I'm not mistaken. So,
listen, you guys are the kings of getting around things, like selling hotels.
Hey,
man, what else?
Man, the game's the game. No, listen, the game's the game, man. The game's the game. But like, I just think, again, going back to the striker stuff, like I hear you that Isak is much better. I just think, again, it just becomes down to profiles. I have 2 similar profiles in Jackson and him. It just becomes, can I not get an elite talent in a different profile striker, like a Gyökeres, for example?
But we rate the management and the people in charge at Arsenal rate Kai Havertz as one of the best forwards, and his performances since the back end of last season supports their argument. So I'm not saying Kai Havertz is the solution long term and he's the best player for us right now, but that's what they're deeming. They're deeming that they couldn't find something to improve us for a reasonable fee. Everything we do is at a certain level. They're looking at the prices. I don't agree. I don't think we have financial fair play issues. Sometimes I feel like it's an excuse to not get what we need to get what we want over the line. But I just don't think they want to. They just don't want to sign anybody because we've done that in the past. You don't want to go and make another Pepe mistake in the middle of a title race. That's the kind of signings that can ruin you.
That is true. That is true. But the thing is, bro, you know what I would say to you? When you're this close, when you're like that, a matter of like 2 points away, inches away, bro, that big signing at times is what's gonna like, maybe get you those 2 points. Because you know the thing I've always said about Arsenal, they need another guy that can be a difference maker. You know what I mean? A guy that when he comes onto the pitch, he can produce that moment of brilliance. You already have. I've seen people say Saka. You got Saka, which is fair enough. I know last season Rice at times was able to do that for you. I think another guy that I'm not mistaken was Havertz. Even himself at times did it. Trossard, super sub Trossard was doing it for you at times. Odegaard, I don't think he was as consistent as the others, right? But maybe you need that one more option. You know, when those guys can't do it for you, you need that one more guy to do it, in my personal opinion. That's what it's always come down to for Arsenal for me.
Hey, we got one more attacker. It's Raheem Sterling. It's not the best, but it's the best out of the
But
best.
is Raheem, the issue for me is Raheem Sterling, you know, in my personal opinion, a guy that's gonna give you a moment that you need to win a title.
Wait, did you rate Kai Havertz when he was at Chelsea?
Yes, at the time, yes, but obviously my thoughts changed when he was at the club. But when he brought him at the time, I'd been watching Leverkusen and I thought he was a talented guy. I was like, yes, he's a talented guy, top player. I can't wait for him. Looking forward to it, etc., etc. So that's why, bro. Like I was definitely looking forward to him.
Now, are you kind of surprised at the performances he's putting in, or you always seen this? You always knew he was capable of this.
I thought that's the thing is what you're seeing at Arsenal is what I wanted him to do at Chelsea because that's what I was thought he was going to do for my club. But the reality was it didn't happen at Chelsea, isn't it? So that was my issue for me personally. And maybe
I think it was the style of play that you guys had. Let's be honest. You won the Champions League with a defensive team, and
to be fair, it's also the guys you had around him too. I think part of the argument was maybe part of it was obviously down to himself and confidence. And I think another issue was and the way he was playing. I think the other issue was the guys you had around him. Like you had guys like Mount, who was playing wing with him when Mount was really an 8. You had Werner, who was really poor. Pulisic, which was very much, you know.
I think he played well with Werner.
I think in the first season, but in the second to third season, he didn't. That's the problem. In the first season, when he had Lampard and Tuchel, when he won the league, you see how it worked, but after that, it didn't work out, basically.
Regardless, I don't know if it's the lack of midfield creativity or the lack of traditional wingers, whatever you want to say at Chelsea. It always seemed like he was always overthinking it. Where at Arsenal, did you see the Dink versus Brighton? I know we didn't win that game, but that was a clinical finish. And then
but that game for me, Egal, epitomized him. That's the issue. You know, he did the hard goal. He did the little dink thing over the goalkeeper to make it 1-0 for you. But then it's 1-1. You're through on goal. You know what I mean? It's the easiest chance. All you need to do is just finesse it into the net. And then he can't do it. Do you see what I'm saying to you, bro? It's like you know, when it's the hard chance, you know, I know I can very much say at least Arsenal adverts can probably put into the net.
He doesn't have the issue of going offside though.
Not anymore. That's for sure. You know what? That's definitely
you notice what he does though. His runs are no longer straight; they're always diagonal,
which is much better. I'll be honest. That one I will give. That's much better.
I think coaching wise, he's been coached. A lot of negatives that he was showing at Chelsea have been coached out of him. And maybe Raheem Sterling, as much as you guys want to make fun of him, he has a point to prove at Arsenal. And you guys could be paying 10 million to help us win the league.
Listen, I just think for me, I don't think that's gonna help him win the league. I still gonna stand by that statement. I still believe that strongly in my past.
If we get anywhere near the production he performed for you guys last year as a rotation player at Arsenal, that could be the difference. 7 to 8. What was it? 18 GA last year. If he gives us 18 GA this year as a fourth or fifth option, as a fifth option, bro, that's not bad. You're making it seem like 17 GA is not normal. I'm not saying it's not normal. It's just for somebody to come off the bench that can offer you that kind of production over the last couple of years, it's decent.
What's it called? Ahmed, we'll discuss that tonight. Tonight I've got another show. I have to actually do a little bit of a late breaking news show with some of the guys. We'll talk about the Chelsea business stuff then. Okay, guys?
He's got his boots on.
Yeah, listen, definitely for sure. I actually have the sound. Do I have the sound anymore? What's it called? I always have that sound. Yeah, Ahmed, we are linked. Oh, we'll discuss that later. Okay, so bro, obviously, I think we've talked about pretty much. I think the vast majority of the players I want to talk about, other than Saliba. Saliba, bro, are you worried he's gonna leave your club? That's the one thing I have to ask you. That's the one thing I need to ask you. I think he signed a new contract last season. Is that correct?
Saliba signed his contract, I think it was 2 years ago, right? Or last season, yeah.
It was either last season or 2 years ago, right? But are you worried? Obviously, I know that Real Madrid might be sniffing around. They're looking for a centre back.
You always have to be when you have one of the best
Exactly, bro.
in their position. You guys
Mhm.
seen it with Rudiger. It's normal.
Yeah.
You always
No,
have to
Rudiger
be.
was our fault, by the way. Rudiger was literally just our fault. That was our fault, bro. We should have just given him the contract he wanted, and he would have stayed at my football club. But that
At
was
this
on the
moment in
ownership.
time,
Mhm.
all I know is everybody knows how good he is. And people saying now they flipped it from saying he's not that good to saying, oh, aren't you worried Real Madrid's going to come in? You want your best players to be uh, to be linked to Real Madrid, because it just goes to show you how good your players are. Obviously you don't want them to leave. You want to tie them down. But right now, I don't think they're focused on leaving. None of these players are looking at leaving. They're all in a situation where they're all tied in, and they believe in the situation, and they all are under contract for a reasonable amount of years. We don't have a situation where any of them are necessarily leaving in a year or two, like Liverpool currently have 3 players who could leave at the end of the year and could
100%.
sign pre-agreements. So right now we're in a comfortable situation. The only person who we have uncomfortable situation for is Arteta. Actually, Arteta is the only person who is
But
doesn't
let's
have
be
his
realistic,
contract.
He's signing a contract at a club, bro. There's nowhere else for him to go to at this point, bro. You really believe in
Arsenal
this?
probably already signed. Arsenal probably already agreed the fee and everything. It just needs to be signed, probably.
Do you not think there's a worry of Arteta? Yeah, I'm gonna slightly get into Arteta talk here. That I know a lot of some of your fans, not yourself, of course, yeah, included, that are saying if he doesn't win me a major title, which I think in their eyes would be a Champions League or a Premier League, right? He should be sacked, right? And obviously, he's not got a contract yet, right? Maybe he gets his contract signed midway through the season. Maybe he doesn't sign a contract at all, right? Um, and then obviously he doesn't win those titles. Do you not think there's a distinct possibility that the club are just waiting for him are waiting on confirming the contract to see if he wins the league or not, and then maybe he gets kicked out, if that makes sense?
If we don't win the league, who would we bring in instead of Arteta?
That's the question I'm asking. That's a good question, actually. I don't know, because maybe, listen, things change towards next year. For all we know, maybe Javi Alonso is
Personally,
finally
I don't think
available.
Arteta's going anywhere. People saying, Iga, would
I know
you
you
sack
don't
Arteta?
believe that. Yeah, I know you don't believe that.
Yeah, people saying, would you sack Arteta? I'm not sacking Arteta unless there's a collapse, which is something that is unthinkable at this moment in time. I think another reason why, if Liverpool were to win the league, that is unforgivable, because I don't think I think we're a better team than Liverpool.
I'll be honest, man. Liverpool, they are looking quite good. I'll be honest.
Because if Liverpool were to win the league with Arne Slot in his first season, that is kind of like a slap in the face.
That'll look bad on him, yeah. And I think for me, it's just, yeah. Let me sorry, I just got texted by someone by accident. Okay, that's fine. That's sorted out. But one thing I will say quickly is that Arteta, he's in a situation where he's in a catch-22, because I think I would say half your fan base, are thinking you must win now. We got to win a big trophy now, right? I think that's a fair statement to make. Unlike, I think with Liverpool, it was a bit more of a different situation under Klopp, because like they were still willing to give Klopp time. They were like, he's built the team. Obviously they're still facing Man City. Like there was a bit more of a differential, I think, of the Liverpool fan base, where more so than Arsenal. So you got half your guys saying that, and then you got half your other fans saying, let him stay even if he doesn't win anything. Do you not think then? Where do you think the ownership's heads are? Essentially, where do you think the ownership's heads are?
They're going to give him the contract before the season's done, regardless what happens. I think the only way Arteta, anything negative happens to Arteta, is if we fall off to like third or fourth. As for winning the league, let's be honest, Arteta can manage these guys as much as we want. We also need other teams to slip up. We need Man City to slip up. We need Liverpool to slip up. We can be as perfect as we want to be. We can get 90-something points. If Man City is going to go get 92 points once again, we can't. It's going to be a situation where you're just going to be looking at yourself at the end of the season once again, saying we have to go again next season. We also have to hope that these guys somewhat slip up, because Man City are looking like a different animal. As much as I want to sit here and say Arsenal can be perfect, Man City, we've seen them get 100 points after a team got 90 something. So it's like you need
I think
to
for me,
you need to
it,
beat them and you need
mhm.
to better them for the rest of the season and hope that they continue to slip up. As much as I want to sit here and say Arteta is going to do it, the team's going to do it, until they do it, you're not going to believe me.
Of course, I think that's the big point. But what I was gonna say is that the one thing I always say is that I can't count on any other team to do a job for me, right? I can't count on Liverpool to do a job for me, whether it be Manchester City. If I was in the league title, for
Man City
example,
needed Aston Villa to do a job
yeah,
for them.
yeah, you know what I mean. You're gonna need people to do a job for you right at the end of the day. And the thing is, but like I think for me personally, what it comes down to is, listen, I have to just focus on myself. I've got 38 games to win, and I just look at 38 games to win. Simple as that.
Bro, last year from January onwards, we won. There were 17 games. We won every single game bar the Aston Villa game.
Mhm.
We were undefeated in every single game bar the Aston Villa game and the Man City away where we drew.
Yep.
Now, in one case, you could make the case that we should have tried to win the game at Man City away, or you could make the other case say you should have just won at home versus Aston Villa, you win the league. But out of 17 games, we won 15, draw 1, lose 1. We tried our best from that position. But it just goes to show you, you don't win the league in your last 17 games, bro. Your title running, you could be perfect, near perfection, and still lose because you have to do it from the beginning of the season. That's why game by game, this game versus Tottenham must be a win, or else it's going to be meltdowns once again. The game away at what do you call it? What do you call it? What's Man City's ground again? The Etihad.
Etihad. So because you got two big games coming up, actually. You know what I mean? Tottenham.
Yeah.
You got, is it Tottenham home or away? By the way, it's Tottenham home.
Tottenham away.
Bro, so you got to go to the new White Hart Lane, and then you got to go to the Etihad, bro. These two big games, and you're missing Rice for at least one of them, right? Which is very big.
And then we go to, don't forget, in between that, we're going away to Atlanta.
What?
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Champions League, first game.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the American place. I was so confused for a quick second. I can't lie to you, bro. The way you said it was like, oh,
the Italian club.
So I was confused for a second. That's why.
Check this out. We are going to be playing Tottenham, then go away. First game of the Champions League versus Atlanta in Italy. Then we're going to go to Man City away. We have 3 away trips back to back to back.
Bro, you have a nasty week. That's a nasty. Listen, it's a nasty week, but as I say, it's a big week, bro. It's a big week, bro. You know what I mean? This is going to be a very big week for you, bro. I can't lie to you, man. I can't believe I'm saying it. Next week, bro, Sunday. Was it Sunday? The Tottenham game. I'm assuming it's 4:30 Sunday. It has to be, right?
Yeah, it's a Sunday, 2:00.
Sunday? Why? Who's at 4:30 then? Is there a bigger game than you at 4:30?
No, because the 2:00 game, they need to make it the earlier game, so people go home and the policing and everything, they can sort it out. They're always worried about policing.
That, to be honest, that's fair, man. It's North London, isn't it? So listen,
bro, it's North London. It's Tottenham.
Yeah.
It's a busy street. They can't have people exiting the stadium at like 6 at night.
Yeah, that is true. Especially North London. Yeah, especially London.
If Arsenal fans and Tottenham fans go down the wrong alley, there'll be something going on.
Of course, bro. 100%. I hear you. Okay. Oh, Wolves versus Newcastle is the 4:30 kickoff on that day. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah, no one's watching that.
Well, listen, I'm not watching it for sure, so that's good enough for me. Spurs will beat Arsenal. Wow.
You see, sometimes I feel like people say things out of hope because they hope Arsenal.
Do you think you're going to be Spurs, by the way? I think you can. Listen, I think
the Spurs we've been them the last 2 years, and I feel like the way that they play defensively, they're susceptible to the way we play. We are literally
1-2 passes and you're through. I always say that about Spurs.
We are the antithesis of how to beat them. Just literally just drop Kai Havertz and Saka has all the space on the right-hand side. Boom, one ball, it's over. Same thing on the left-hand side. You literally just one ball to whoever's playing on that left-hand side and you're through. And their defense is so high. And Postecoglou also cannot defend set pieces. We are one of the best set piece teams. So it's just like, I'm very confident going into the game versus them. As for the Man City game, I'm not looking forward to that game. I'm going to take it game by game. We'll see where we are when it comes to that game.
Atalanta are not looking as strong as they did what's it called last season. They still, because they've got
a bunch of new guys. It's the first game of the Champions League. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
away trips in the Champions League, you just need to try to your first game, especially, you just need to make sure you win. If we lose to Atlanta, people are going to say, "Oh my God, you're going to get knocked out." Game week one, people are going to start talking about knocked out.
Exactly. He even hopes Spurs was the better team last time. Ooh, if I remember correctly, the second half they were. I will give them that.
We slapped them 3-0 in the first half. What are they talking about?
No. I think he's saying that. Yeah, in the first half you were much better because he scored 3 goals. They came back to score 2, if I'm not mistaken, in the second half. Spurs will bully Arsenal. Wow, I think this guy definitely he wants Arsenal to lose for sure.
With what midfield?
Bro, I can't lie. Pape Matar has not been looking as good as he did last season, and
Basuma's not looking good either.
Yeah, Basuma. Hey, listen, I got a great meme for Basuma. I always have. But listen, Basuma, man, he needs to get off the small man. First and foremost, before he does anything else, bro. Where is the meme I got here? This is
sleep.
Nah, that thing's wild.
Hey, listen, the game is a game, man. Every time, well, fair enough. Atalanta play high intensity, but the thing is, Atalanta actually, they've got a bunch of new defenders. Obviously, got that guy from Everton. I forget his name. The young English lad from Everton has been quite injury prone. But in general, the team is going through like a process of like a slight rebuild, particularly defensively.
One second. Why is it that people are? Is it me or is it just a rivalry? Because like even when you guys won the Champions League, people had to give you guys credit, right? But going into that season before you won the Champions League, no one thought you were going to do it. At this point, after back-to-back challenging for the league, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say Arsenal is going to win the league. Why does it still sound like it's something ridiculous to say?
You know why it is, bro? You know, I'm gonna separate the Chelsea bit of it because I think the thing of Chelsea and Arsenal is always gonna be a rival, right? Like obviously there's always gonna be a rivalry aspect there, bias there. But I just think the issue is, bro, like it feels like Pep Guardiola, he's inevitable. He's like Thanos, bro. I said this before, man. I think the best way I've always said it before, he's like Thanos, bro. Like he feels like it's inevitable. Like until maybe this guy leaves the league, no one's really winning it. Liverpool again, the season Liverpool won it was the season that Man City had like a bunch of really big injuries to their team. Like, you know what I'm saying to you, guy? Like, it's only happened once, and like, it's just like even the way they started the season. I'm pretty sure you would agree they started much stronger than they did last time. So that's what it comes down to, Igal, bro. You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to for me personally, more so than anything else. Unless you think it's differently.
I think there's multiple things. One, it's people at this point just don't want to admit it that Arsenal's a good team, and two, they're going to continue to say you're not going to do it until we actually do it. So nothing I can say can actually change people's minds. So that's what I hate about YouTube in general, or just football community in general, because Arsenal has the stigma of just being like bottle jobs. But when you actually look at it, who has been one of the best teams over the last couple of years? Liverpool were in the same situation as us. They were getting credited before they won the Champions League.
That is true. I will give you that. But you know what the issue is, Igal? What I would say to you, or to slightly counter the issue, you need to get the bottle job thing out of it. That's the thing, If you win that title, or if you win a major trophy, I think, that removes the stigma. Does that make sense, Igal? Like, you remove the stigma, and therefore it cannot be said that you're bottle jobs anymore. If that makes sense, because now you can say, listen, we won the EPL, big man. You know what I mean? The argument that they can have at least at you now is gone, right? But right now, the reality is, bro. Currently speaking, you are like that's how I can say I'm a bottle job currently. I Wembley because of what's happened to me for the last was it 3-4 seasons in a row? I've been to a final there and just bottled it against Liverpool, Manchester City, like pretty much every single time we've won there. So
yeah,
at the very least,
Wembley curse and that.
Wembley curse the last 6 years, bro. It's been crazy, bro. Wembley curse the last 6 years has been crazy. So it is what it is, man.
I agree, and I've said that myself. But hey, we're not trying to prove anything to anybody. We're just trying to win it for ourselves at this point. That's the only way we can do it.
100%, bro. 100%. And listen, at the end of the day, with Arsenal, bro, you got a chance this season. Let's not get twisted. You have a very good chance this season. It's just about consistency again.
What do you think is gonna happen?
I've said I still think City's gonna win it. You know, my issue, my thing from now has just been it's not even about how good the other teams are. I just think it's literally the Pep effect for me. Like as long as he's a Manchester Football Club of Manchester City, then yes. Although I'm gonna give you a big but. Now I remembered because Dai actually reminded me of this. Yeah, they're gonna get charged if I'm not mistaken, or like they're gonna get the charge happen to them in January, correct? If I'm not mistaken, the January,
At
February.
some point this season.
At some point this season, they're getting the charge hitting them, right? And if they get a bit of a big point deduction, I think if you guys are still up there and still being consistent, as I'm pretty sure you would expect to be, and I would expect you to be, hopefully, then I think you can win the title that way.
No, but I don't want to win the league based off of points deduction because then everyone's
gonna happen regardless, bro. Like even if you're winning, let's say you're winning the league right now, yeah. Even when the point deduction happens to Man City, right? Let's say you're on top, you're beating them by 3 or 4 points in the league, right now. The reality is, bro, that could happen.
No, but you don't want to win a league title based on a point deduction.
I know, bro, but like the most logical way you're gonna win the title this season is probably because of that. Like even if I say to you, let's say Egal is February right now, Arsenal are winning on
like look at the Syria. Napoli won the league. Napoli didn't win the league because of the points deduction to Juventus. Juventus were not nowhere near the league title. At least in that kind of situation where the team is nowhere near the league title, then fair. But we need to deserve it.
I don't want to, bro. That's what's gonna happen, though. I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Like, regardless of whether you want it to happen like that, the reality is gonna be that listen, you're gonna be somewhere. Let's say hypothetically, you're at the top of the league. You're winning.
No, but
you're beating them by 5 points.
If they get the points deduction, fair enough. But my thing is just strictly for competitive reasons. I would want to finally beat somebody. I wouldn't want it to be a situation like where somebody.
But the thing is, they cheated, bro. They cheated for years.
I would not want to be handed. I would not.
You're not going to get handed it, though, Iga, are you? I wouldn't say you've been handed it because Man City have been cheating for years. Like, let's be realistic, bro. Like, yeah, I'm not even gonna be quick around the bush. We've been crooks, you know what I mean? Chelsea have been crooks, right? They've been crooks too. It's just that their crookery, they try to hide behind the fact that they're not crooks. Does that make sense? They're like, no, we do everything by the book.
If this is a Champions League and you're handing me a Champions League, fair enough. But if it's a league title,
bro, I don't care. I'll be honest with you so much. Listen, Igal, you know, for me, you know what I go by?
I say that now, but wallahi, if it really happens,
yeah, when you find out they get like a 34-point deduction and you know you're gonna be winning the title, I know you're not gonna be saying this, bro. I know you're not gonna be saying this, Haji. Like, let's be realistic, man. Exactly, bro. It's not your fault, though.
Are you saying I'm being? Listen, I might be politically correct right now, but I genuinely feel like I want to beat City. I don't want it to be a situation where people be like, "Yo, you got handed it," because then
they can't say that to you. They can't say that to you, though. Do you know why they can't say that to you?
If they do get a points deduction, the following season we need to repeat because we can't have a situation where we win the league on a points deduction and then not repeat because then
that I think is fair. Then
our credibility will be questioned.
That's fair enough. You know what? I hear you on that one. That one I think is a bit.
Because our first time not winning the league in 20 years, and it's because somebody gets a points deduction. It's not gonna look that good. It's gonna be like
why would it look good? It would not look that. It would not because again, everyone knows that City's been doing dodgy stuff for the longest time.
Regardless, at least if it was last year or the first year we actually went up there. Hey, anyways. Long story short, I don't think anything's gonna happen to City or Chelsea. I think they're both gonna get slaps on the wrist. Worst case scenario.
I actually think with us, we will probably get slap on the wrist only because of the fact that we've actually, we snitched on ourselves. That's the difference, right? But I don't think that City can get a slap on the wrist, and the reason why they can't get a slap on the wrist, and I don't know if I said this to you, bro.
They're making an example out of them.
They have legislation coming in the UK which the Premier League does not want to happen, and the only way the Premier League can stop that from happening is if they really crash it on what's it called, City, and that's the thing, they have to crash it on them. Otherwise, bro, they're gonna be that. Otherwise, the government's gonna be coming in to start legislating the EPL, and none of the ownerships want that at all either.
Whatever Man City do, I mean, whatever they do to Man City, could they make them change ownership? And if they did, could that ruin the club?
I don't know if they can make them change ownership because I don't think they even have the powers to do so, right? Do they have the powers to change ownership? I know in the NBA
it's sanctioned,
but that was the government. No, but the thing was, we got controlled by the government, bro. That was different, innit? Like this thing is not controlled by the government. This is done by the EPL. I don't think the EPL, much like in the NBA, for example, like that the other owners can oust an owner, right? In the NBA, I don't think they can
Only
do
if
that in
they
the
do
EPL.
something detrimental and damaging to the league.
Exactly. So like the question that you're gonna ask yourself, I don't know if the EPL has the same rules. Is what Man City have done been detrimental and damaging to the league? I think there's a strong argument that you can make, yes, that it has done because of the stuff they've done to essentially help themselves and like been a detriment to the competitive value of the other top six teams, right? Maybe you can make the argument for, but I don't really see it like that, to be honest. What's it called? MCFC says, "Cry me 115 River. Nothing happening to us. I'm relaxed. Even Charles and Leicester won their case against Man. Case. Imagine Man
Yeah,
City. We
Leicester
didn't
winning their case is a major W for City.
that. Oh yeah, but I think the reason why Leicester won their case, I think it's just because of the fact that it's in the Championship. It's not in the EPL. It was in the Championship. Like that's the reason why they really won their case. If they were gonna get like actually points deducted, charged, it has to be in the Championship, in my personal opinion, not that, of course. Yep.
If Everton
But
get relegated, they're fucked.
yes, Everton. If Everton get relegated, they're definitely cooked. But what listen, we are going to be getting to the end quite soon. But like, I've got probably I'll say 2 to 3 more questions left. First question I've got to ask you is that are you worried about Saka in terms of injury wise? Because obviously,
No,
again, you're not worried about him in terms of injury wise. Because like the reason why I'm
no.
saying that is that
We have
Mark Hughes
Raheem
is great.
Sterling now who can cover for him.
So you just believe that he's gonna, if you think Raheem Sterling covering for him is gonna allow him to like get rest. I don't. Do you think Arteta's
Do
going to do
Liverpool
that?
fans worry about Mo Salah?
Not really, but then again, he did get injured. Salah has been getting injuries as of recent seasons, though, hasn't he?
He doesn't miss that many games. Saka's 23 years old. He's been relatively fit for the majority of his career, and now he has a reasonable backup that can cover for him in the cup games when need be. Also, so I'm not too worried. And what we've been doing this season, we've actually been taking him out after 60 minutes for the first 2 games. So I think that's okay.
That's okay. You know what? Then fair enough. And I think with Saka, I just worry that I don't want you guys to have the same situation that Man United had with Mount, where the guys played so many games, had so many appearances that then he's cooked. If that makes sense.
I don't think it's appearances for Mount. I think Mount is just not that good of a footballer.
No, I'm talking about his injuries. I'm not talking about the player. The injuries that he's got now.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a bad comparison. Maybe say Rooney.
Oh, okay. Listen, I'm just talking about a recent example of someone that's very much like Saka, was like a good player for their team at the time, was playing consistent football week in, week out, right? Basically got overplayed, right? And then like he's gone to another club now, and then like his body's basically broken down.
Oh, you want to know something? Saka's not in the same category as a Mason Mount. Saka's in the same category as Rooney, Fabregas, Michael Owen. These guys right now. He's played 13,000 minutes before the age of 23. He has 100 plus wins in the Premier League. He has over 100 plus goal involvements. 100 plus goal involvements overall. Like I really do think people need to understand. You're talking about if Bukayo Saka adds some Premier League titles to his name, we're talking about a potential Premier League great in the making, bro.
Fair enough. You know what, boys? We are gonna wrap it up here. Thank you again for coming in, Gal. Where can they find you, my brother? Where can they find you?
Bro. I'm just doing a little bit of hiatus this week, just taking some time off. We're gonna be back Sunday, Vibes from the 6th Sunday, 8 o'clock. And then going forward from there, I'm gonna be live pretty much almost every day until the North London Derby. So that's Egal Talks Football. You can catch me there, and on Twitter, EGTV Egal. You can also find me on TikTok, where I talk shit to some people on TikTok also. So yeah, catch me there.
Interesting. And as for me, you guys know who I am. I'm your host, the British 258. Coming up, after I'm gonna be going on Never Foul at 10 p.m. But after Never Foul, I'm gonna be getting obviously my guy Joey, RSM, and I'm probably getting 1 or 2 more people to discuss obviously the stuff of the ownership right now that's been going on. We're gonna discuss that for a little bit and discuss the ins and outs of it and some of the craziness that's going on in regards to it, of course. But yeah, man, that will be all for today. Hopefully you enjoy this stream. I know it's a bit of more of an earlier one. I usually like to do them at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Bit more of a relaxed and late night settings, as I always like to call it. But listen, I've been your host, the British 258. Dedicate your hearts and